So we are live. This is the part where you can. We're getting ready to start the show. I always love the opening. Change it so many times. Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Have you seen this new opening, Anna?
I have not seen it.
Let's get ready to rumble! Y'all ready for this?
No, we're not ready for this.
Are we ever?
I'm certainly not, but I sure am. I sure am excited though, because I thought that tonight I was going to be all alone, and I was going to take either a couple shots of tequila, which would be bad because I'm really not a drinker, so I'd probably fall asleep in the middle of the show, or I was going to take some Paxil, and I would have fallen asleep too because I already took that this morning. So who knows what I was going to do? And then I called on Anna.
You
Anna,
settled
hello.
on Anna.
I didn't settle on Anna. I call you every week, but today I called you begging. Did I not?
You did.
I did.
Well, kind of.
I called begging, and then shortly after, Anna got back to me and said, hey, and she's asked me about this before. She said, I've got a friend named Booda Cavalier. He does lots of stuff, but he's been helping Cliven Bundy at the Bundy Ranch. And he would be awesome to be on and talk. And I'm like, come on, really? It's like we hardly have any time to even start the show. There's no way we can pull this off, really? So I sent him a message, and Miracle Man, here is Booda Cavalier.
How are you guys doing this evening?
Super. So freaking glad that you took my call.
Hey,
I'm very glad you did too.
It was a pleasure to help you guys out. Anytime I can help people out and give them a little bit of knowledge or ideas about what we're doing out here at the Bundy Ranch, it's always an honor to do that and help people out. And Anna's a great friend of ours out here at the ranch. She's a great supporter. And she called and said, hey, Booda, I need a favor. And I said, all right, let's get her done.
Right on. And I notice you've got the Marines hat on.
Yes, sir.
Once a Marine, always a Marine?
Yep, once a Marine, always a Marine. I am a combat veteran, 4 tours of combat overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I swore an oath to defend the United States of America against enemies foreign and domestic. And in 2007, 2008, I realized that it was no longer going to be foreign. It was time to get ready for the domestic issue. And as we all know, over the past few years, the domestic issue has become more prevalent as each day goes on, or each week. And it's not what I choose to do. I'd rather sit at home and mess around trying to fight with myself what the hell I'm going to watch on Netflix. But I have to do what's right, and that's to defend the Constitution against enemies foreign and domestic. And my Heavenly Father has blessed me with the ability to put people to sleep from a great distance. And it's not what I want to have to do, but it's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to shed blood to defend my Constitution. I will not fire unless fired upon. So let's get that shit squared away real quick. You know, and I've been out here at the Cliven Bundy Ranch since a couple days before the actual standoff, and I asserted myself in here as his personal bodyguard. I have no ulterior motives. I'm not related to a particular militia group or any organization at that point in time. I came here because I felt that I was needed to preserve and act as a buffer for this family to practice their free speech in their fight. Now, when I first originally came out here, I didn't come out here to really get involved in this land battle or these land issues, but now being out here, I've educated myself and have realized that there's a lot more in this battle that needed to be done. So I decided to go ahead and give my life up back home in Arizona and move out here to the Bundy Ranch, and now I'm starting my new company, Nevada Tactical Solutions, so we can train people to get familiarized with weapons and to defend themselves.
I saw that on your, well, I saw that on your Facebook page. It's interesting, and I don't remember exactly where it was. Maybe it was Arizona, maybe it was Nevada, I think somewhere 6 months ago or whatever. There was the weapons shooting range, and there was the accident where that little girl accidentally shot and killed the instructor.
Yes.
Knowing what you know, is that? Do you think that? I mean, I don't know anything. Did he make a mistake? Was that just a freak accident? Was what?
Well, from what I know, and this is only what's been shed through the media and just through the rumor mill. From what I understand, the young girl was shooting a 9mm Uzi. If anybody's familiar with that particular weapon system,
most people are not.
Okay, that gun it's a small submachine gun. And when you lay into the trigger on fully auto, it has the tendency to run, which means the barrel might go upward. Basically, from this position, it'll want to run up on you. Now, in my opinion, that's not the appropriate weapon for a young 9-year-old girl to be thrust into learning how to shoot with. There are plenty of youngsters out there that know how to shoot with smaller calibers and weapons that are more suitable for that need. For hunting or just general shooting and plinking around. But a young girl shooting a 9mm a 9mm Uzi is just not appropriate. In my opinion, I believe the instructor should not have done it. But one of the more interesting things that might need to be taken into consideration is the fact that that gun range is literally in the middle of Kingman, Arizona and Las Vegas, just before you get to the Hoover Dam. They don't have a lot of business out there, so I'm speaking on my behalf only. Maybe they make tons of money, but it's kind of a rural area, so maybe they lessened their quality of instructional permit, and I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. I know personally at my company, Nevada Tactical Solutions, we would never train a 9-year-old to shoot a 9mm Uzi, or 12-year-old for that matter. It's just not going to happen. And if there's listeners out there that don't agree with that, that's fine. I'm a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps, and I can assure you that they don't teach you to shoot with 9mm Uzis when you're first walking onto the range. You got to crawl before you can walk.
That's what it just seemed odd. I mean, it seemed like, wow. I mean, me picking up a machine gun my first time or a couple times out as an adult, much less a 9-year-old. I don't know. I was just like, wow.
It doesn't make sense to me. Granted, I'm not here to point fingers on who's right or wrong.
And I'm just curious about your opinion on that, because you have the experience as a trainer.
My personal opinion is I would never have a student with that weapon. Maybe a 22 to start with, smaller caliber weapons, but a 9mm on full auto for a young person that's probably never shot a weapon on full auto, it's not good. And that's just my opinion. And because of that, we have a loss of life, either because of the weapon system and the young girl not knowing what she was doing, or the instructor not being close enough to grab the weapon as the weapon started to run. Run meaning to walk up, to barrel up on it as she was laying into the trigger.
So let me ask you this too, I guess, and I'm just going to, there's no way of knowing this because nobody alive was there other than the shooter. But when Chris Kyle was killed by, out at the gun range, both him and his friend lives were taken. If you were an instructor or he wasn't even his friend, he was coming out, but let's say that you were helping post-traumatic PTSD, somebody with that, and you were doing what he was doing. do you think that maybe one of them should have had their eye on this? I mean, should you always be skeptical of somebody?
This is a very touchy subject for a lot of us patriots. I won't say anything more than Chris Kyle served our country with honor, integrity, and he's done so much for our country.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to have his life taken in a manner as such is horrific. First of all, second of all, the guy who did it. You know, there's a lot of people that have PTSD when they come back from overseas, and they don't really have their head on all the way. And it just, I'm like baffled at this. I'm like belittled to myself about it. You would think that you would want to keep an eye on a person that has a mental state of that capacity or issue.
I mean, didn't Chris already say in a text or something he felt uncomfortable or kind of weird to begin with?
I believe so. He did feel a little uncomfortable, so maybe there should have been an extra measure of precaution taken with this particular person being around a weapon. But I mean, it hurts to know that somebody that was in the Marine Corps took this man's life. It doesn't matter what branch, first of all. To take another man's life that was a soldier is just, it's horrific. Me personally, I know we're on air, I probably shouldn't say it, but I wish I could grab the little fuck bag by his neck and wring it out.
Right.
And give him a little bit of punishment. But two wrongs don't make a right. And another thing that I know is my Heavenly Father blesses each person in his own way. And apparently maybe God needed a good sniper up there to help him out. So I know I'd like to think in my heart that Chris is up there doing great work for us and on the heavenly battlefront. And we'll do our best to protect his wife and their family and make sure that they're okay down here. That's our obligation as patriots to return the favor. But yeah, that guy is a fucking nut job.
And like I said, I mean, there is no way that anybody knows what it was like. Maybe they did have their eye out on him, and you know better than anybody how quickly something could turn. I mean, you could be as cautious as you want.
It can happen really quick. And another thing, I don't like to get too far into conspiracies or the thought of it.
Right.
But you already know where I'm going to go with this because you said
I do,
right.
because I believe it.
Chris Kyle did a great numerous duties for our country that would be considered top secret. He knew too much, basically. So is a possibility that he was assassinated or something of that nature? Yeah, it's very high probability rate, actually.
Anybody?
I honestly believe that he was. I believe he was assassinated, honestly. Between me, you, and the 50 other people listening, or 100,000, or whatever.
Buddha, trust me, we have tens and tens of fans.
Tens and tens of fans? All right, that's great.
No. It's funny. We've been on the Google Plus side of this for about 8 or 9 months now, and I noticed just yesterday we're over 98,000 views in 8 months.
Beautiful.
And I, so God's working somewhere when you're not sure. Sometimes you're not sure. You think nobody's watching, and then all of a sudden I get a whole bunch of people who make comments or something in my inbox or whatever. All of a sudden you'll see these views go up. Who knows?
It's amazing how social media these days has ramped up. I mean, a perfect example is what occurred out here at the Bundy Ranch. If it wasn't for social media, this family, it would have ended a lot differently. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But I can assure you that you and your fellow alternative media sources are doing wonders for what's going on in the world. And obviously we know mainstream media is so full of shit that they probably need a surgeon to remove some of it. But the simplicity of it is the fact that alternative media is now the mainstream media in my world. I actually watch Fox as a reality show. I think it's hilarious. I'll turn on Fox or NBC or MSNBC or whoever the hell it is just to laugh. Literally. I'm kind of a nutball like that, but at the same time I just crack up on it.
I think they call it the UK Daily News is growing by leaps and bounds in their viewership, and they've taken away the name UK because they're all over, and they just call it the Daily. I think they call it the Daily, and their reporting actually, they're not, their hands aren't tied to a lot of these corporations and whatnot like they are here, and they're actually telling stories that you don't normally hear. So, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a little refreshing.
Thing. That's kind of the same. They're starting to flip their script a little bit, but RT News, Russia Today News. Originally, that was strictly European. Now it's in the U.S. I mean, news sources can come from multiple different angles right now, and it's really hard to scroll through Facebook or any kind of social media and find out what the truth is, because there's so many different sources of information coming in that people aren't properly vetting it down to before they relay the story. A prime example, this actually, I'm going to speak freely now, it really pissed me off about when the whole Ebola thing happened. You know, it was just amazing how everybody out there just about on Facebook world thought that they were just now a certified Facebook reporter. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Ebola's coming here, Ebola's coming here. And I kept my mouth shut. Actually, I didn't. It's not like me to keep my mouth shut, but I did voice my opinion. I'm like, what, you guys are kind of jumping this over the gun. And that's another thing that listeners maybe need to listen to as well. When you guys catch a story on Facebook or any kind of social media, try to vet it down the best as you can before you post it, because it's just a rumor mill. I mean, some of these sites that post information that people are relying on, aside from it saying www.dumpsterintel.com or I found my information out of a fucking junkyard, I mean, you've got to look at it in every angle and all angles before you go and share it.
Do you remember, before we go on, do one of you guys have any music or something going on in the background? Because I can hear something. Is that Anna?
I think my son in the other room has
that's
a game
fine.
going. Can you hear it?
Yeah, but that's okay. I just didn't know if it was feedback. That's fine.
Okay, because I can ask them to turn it down.
No. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
But you just let me know.
So
I have a question real quick, though.
Yeah.
So, Booda, what would you say is the best way to vet these stories out?
Well, I mean, read it carefully, thoroughly, and ask yourself, okay, in this story, where do I think there could be a possible line of bullshit? And then once you look at that, go Google some other news sources and see what they've got on it, or if they've got anything on it. I mean, one of the prime examples, there's one that I'm probably going to screw it up, dcclothesline.com. That produce. Yeah, am I right? Okay. Now, I might be right on this too. Let me know. Isn't DC Clothesline a fucking shoe company? Or a t-shirt clothing company?
DC Shoes is for sure by Rob Diedrich, the skateboarder guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't DC Clothesline the news source? I mean, that just doesn't make sense. We just try to thoroughly investigate what you're reading and ask yourself, okay, if I'm going to post this, where would people pick on me or make fun of me or find a flaw in this story? Break it down yourself and then investigate it through the other channels that you might have access to.
Now, I know
and go from there. Or even tag there, say, hey, I don't know if this story's accurate, but let's just see how it goes, guys, and share it that way, saying that you don't know, but you're just still trying to provide something for somebody with some clarity.
Right. Now, Anna is not a fan anymore of, and you may not be anymore either, of Glenn Beck because the position that he took on the Bundy Ranch. And he felt that the BLM, I don't know what he felt, but he wasn't.
From what I know, and Anna, she's a lot smarter than I am probably when it comes to this kind of stuff. But don't shake your head no. The Glenn Beck deal, now, in the beginning of the situation out here, it seemed as if Glenn Beck was okay with siding with the Bundys rather, about what was going on, if I'm correct. But then it seemed like he flipped his script just right around the same time that the misconstrued comments of the racism came out, and then he jumped ship. But I mean, Glenn Beck, he's fighting the fight on his level. I don't necessarily have to agree with it, but I know, in my opinion, I think he's there. He's got the right idea. Sometimes he just lets his mouth overload his ass. Sometimes, but he's still fighting the fight, and I'm not going to discredit him.
Right. Well, he said last week or 2 weeks ago or something about, you know, like to Anna's point, like how do you know about what stories are real or not, or how do you vet them?
Mhm.
He said that, and I don't remember how he found out or who did what or whatever, but the bottom line of the story was that Russia and other people like that were planting stories in our social media and like
Mm.
agreeing with people like Glenn Beck and then disagreeing, like they're causing diversions and all kinds of
Yeah.
shit. So
Well,
you never know the
it,
web that gets
you have to
web.
understand the web and the information being shipped out and provided to the world. It is a form of battle, believe it or not.
It's almost like the Matrix. The movie
Yeah,
The Matrix, they are trying to show us exactly the way they want us to see it.
yeah, and it's also, like I said, it's a battlefront. You know, disinformation here, disinformation there, gain support here, lose support there. I mean, it's the same form of warfare. It's just a different. It's the same dog, different leash.
You guys all, you're very familiar, because everybody is, the little exercise that we all used to do in grade school when the teacher would say,
Oh, the rumor secret
and
thingy,
then
yeah.
the next person down the line, and then all of a sudden, and so what started out as this horse was blue and ran up the mountain turned out to be a camel who jumped in the back of a car and went to Washington, D.C. I mean, it was totally different story by the time it went around the loop. So
With a 50 cal.
yeah, and what you've got is the same type of thing on Facebook, or not Facebook, social media. Somebody starts a rumor, and somebody just flies with it. And the thing that I've been doing, and what I've got loaded on the show here in a little bit, is one of my pet peeves is what I call clickbait headlines. I am so freaking tired of them.
Yeah,
They'll put on this headlines that make nothing really to do with the story. So you click on it, and all of a sudden it's like, really? That is clickbait. But yeah.
So you're aware, Glenn Beck did not switch after the racial thing came up. He switched long before that. My problem with that whole situation was that Glenn Beck has built his following, and he has spent years in tears on his radio show telling people to take a stand, and that we're going to lose our country, and that we all sit back and we never do anything, and we need to, literally in tears, telling us we have to do something when something happens. And so when the time came around where there was something to be done, he totally did not back that at all, called foul on everybody who went and stood for what they believed in, and it was, to me, that was just, he's just an opportunist at that point, in my opinion. And he called me a terrorist because I went down for something honestly other than what you were there for. I went down in regards to what the commissioner had said. And so for him to call me a terrorist for going down there was absolutely just uncalled for.
Now that you brought that up, Anna, that's a very good point. The simplicity of the issue is he's in for viewers, and you know you're going to turn around and say, I didn't shave today, sorry guys. You're going to go ahead and tell me that you need stuff and supporters to show up and take America back and go gung-ho, and then you're going to pussyfoot around. Glenn Beck, if you are listening, I mean, some of the stuff you say is interesting, but I still believe you're a sissy lala and you're lighting the britches.
Now, Anna will love this. I'm gonna read to you a text that I got from my brother today, because my brother is first of all, one of my brothers is a hardcore, bleeding heart liberal, drinks the Kool-Aid, can't wait for Hillary. My whole family, dude. They're all up in Washington, so they drink this shit up there in Washington. I don't know what happens, but I've got 29 aunts and uncles and 162 first cousins. I've got this massive family. Most of them are that way. A couple of them on Facebook surprised me. They like some of my comments. I'm like, really? Where'd that come from? So my brother, who's listening, he's a big Howard Stern fan, and Glenn Beck was on Howard Stern today. So finally, and I was saying something about Glenn Beck to my brother. It was nothing. I just said, he hates Jeb Bush too, so he can't be all bad or whatever. My brother goes, listen and read closely, big letters. He's retarded. he picked, but this is my brother. He picked Mormon religion, not against Mormons, but my brother is just this way. You know, he'll say anything. Because he was tired of going to AA. He was tired of going to AA meetings, and they don't believe in hell. Retarded. So my brother, he hates Glenn Beck. He hates anybody who could possibly be on the right, except me. But he laughs at me. I'm like, whatever, dude.
Well, does he ever watch your...
Huh?
Sorry,
Go ahead, Anna.
Oh, I just find that to be very interesting because I can listen to someone who is maybe more on the left side and someone who's on the right side, and because I have core beliefs and values, I can accept what some people say if they're on the left and not what some people say if they're on the right. I mean, why there's a pure hate for people on the right is very interesting to me. I don't hate everybody on the left. I think some of the things that they, some of them say can have validity. So I don't understand that.
He watches Fox News religiously. He listens to Sean Hannity when he's driving around. He drinks Fox News so that he can take his Democrat talking points or liberal talking points that they all get emailed to them, whatever. I don't know, but I have to deal with that kind of crap all the time.
Well, that's just the sad thing about people not thinking from themselves. So
one time in band camp, one time I was I
went there once.
Really?
Clarinet.
Okay. Well, I was going to say with the flute. We don't know what. We could turn the show into.
I was in band camp and I took a saxophone. So.
Well, let's restart this show under an R rated here.
Yeah.
So back when did Bob Dole? Somebody ran. Bush. Somebody ran again. Oh, when Bush Sr. ran against Clinton for the first time. So that's been a while. We were up there visiting. And just to be funny, just because I don't take very much seriously, I mean, I'm like, first of all, I call Republicans repuclicans, like the repuke to puke.
Yeah.
They're repuclicans and the democants. They're both the same. I hate them both equally. I'm a conservative. I want to follow the Constitution. I'm a conservative. I hate the Republican Party and I hate the Democrat Party as a party. But anyway, so I took what was his name? Bush. I took a Bush yard sign, and we were staying up there with my mom. And then we stayed the night with my brother. So granted, his wife ran for the Washington State Senate twice as a liberal. His kids grew up, all of this stuff. So I took the yard sign. 6 o'clock in the morning before we left town, and I put it in the yard. It had to be there for a couple hours till they got up and went to work. You literally would have thought that I sprayed their house with bullets and eggs. I had called them the worst names in the world all over Facebook. They called me angry, cussing, swearing. My little niece at 12 years old back then was calling me a motherfucker. I mean,
nice.
Hated me because I put a Bush sign up, but that's how serious some people take it. I'm like, dude, chill. It was just funny, wasn't it? No, that's not funny.
Well, I mean, everybody has their own depth of importance on what's going on with this world, and whether you're a Democrat or Republican, all parties are fucked right now, plain and simple, and they need to be stripped down and reevaluated.
With the Cliven Bundy thing in the ranch, the BLM, a lot of people. Now, I don't know, so I'm saying this out loud so you can correct me or confirm. But the BLM thing in a Bundy Ranch, in my thinking, was not Barack Obama's deal. That was George Bush's deal, who could have, in my thinking, could have stopped it before he ever left office. Is that not true?
Now, are you just in reference to land grabs in general, or the Bundy Ranch?
In general, in that they should have backed off with 8 years of Bush, conservative supposedly. They should have backed off the authority that the BLM had a long time before Obama ever showed up.
Well, if you want to break it down to the brass tacks of the situation, constitutionally speaking, they have no right, period. So it stems back to you know, maybe into the 50s or 60s when the Sagebrush Rebellion was formed and everything. That was in, I believe, the early 70s. You know, around the 70s is when the BLM started to help themselves to land. So the battle, in my opinion, started a little bit before then. But I see what you're saying. Bush could have put an end to it. All these presidents have the power to put an end to it. But the simplicity of it is it lies shorter than that. It falls on the sheriff. The sheriff's job, whether somebody is right or wrong, is to protect life, liberty, and property. Plain and simple. The city, state commissioners, the governor, we need to start taking care of our own. Each state is a sovereign state. Because when you become a state, it does not matter if you were a territory before. What happens at the moment of statehood is when you're signed in as a state. So you come under the equal footing doctrine. BLM is not an organization which we recognize out here. It doesn't have any sway or anything with us, plain and simple. We don't believe that they have any constitutional powers at all. You know, you can read, what is it, Section 1, Article 8. I could be off right now. But it tells you what land that the government can have. 10 square miles, forts, magazines, shipyards, dockyards, you know, crap like that. And that's it. If they want to own property in each single state, they have to buy it from the state. And there was no purchase made. I mean, Nevada didn't sell this land out here at the Bundy Ranch to anybody. Cliven didn't sell it. And then the alleged grazing fees of saying he owes $1.8 million. I've been out here with this man for a year and 2 months and 6 days. And I can assure you he's never received a bill for this alleged grazing fees that he owes. And he has always said himself, if I do owe anything, I've tried to pay the state, local authorities for my alleged grazing fees. He believes in paying to the proper form of government, which is the state, local. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with the feds. Basically, BLM is nothing more than a bunch of glorified fucking janitors. And they micromanaged out 52 other ranchers just in this Clark County area that were his partners. And when he decided, I think it was in 1993, he fired BLM. He did not renew a contract with them. He said, you guys are not doing your end of the deal. And the people, my fellow ranchers, you're shutting them out of business. So he released himself from the contract from them and effectively walked away from them. And then it all stemmed around from there. I will ask, though, Anna, can you go tell your little boy to put that radio down for a little bit? Because I'm hearing a lot of feedback.
You betcha.
Go whoop him up.
Yeah. Booda, did you catch the did you see the text I just sent? On the screen?
Oh, wait, where?
Go to the left side of your cursor on the screen up to the left, and the very top one, the blue. Click that where it says chat.
Yeah, okay, click that. And then it says...
On the right side?
Right side, Jim Kaufer, Anna. That's coming through pretty loud.
Anna, did you see that note?
I did.
We have the ability. See, that's another thing about this. It's kind of cool. We have the ability. Better? Yeah, it's awesome. We have the ability to send private notes.
Oh, wow. So I could sit here and say, you got a booger in your nose. Hey, Anna, look, he's got a booger, and nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody would know. Just the three of us.
All right, you got a bat in your cave, maybe.
So tell us about, you also went up to Oregon, too, for the same type of thing, similar.
Yes, I did. Yeah, one of my, I don't like throwing people's names out, but let's just say one of my friends and good brothers was down here at the Bundy Ranch. He gives me a text message saying, you know, hey, Booda, have you heard what they're doing up here in Oregon? And I checked the link, and I personally called the minor claim owner and spoke to him and said, okay, here's who I am and here's what I'm going to do. I'm Cliven Bundy's personal bodyguard. I'm going to bring you guys some literature that you should possibly think about following to help you with your battle against BLM up there. So I went up there on behalf of Cliven and myself and my brother up there that needed some help. Gave them a pamphlet and some information, and basically helped up there with security and just trying to help. You know, when the Bundy Ranch thing happened, that's the first time that America's had something like that occur, and there were some kinks and some flaws in the system. So I went up to help the Oregon guys out and to help iron out any problems that might occur. what we should have done at the Bundy Ranch, we could have done there, and we did do up there to better it. So each time one of these situations occurs, we're getting better, more efficient, and more dialed in on how we're going to deal with these. So yeah, I did go up there. I spent, I want to say it was about a week the first time. Spent about a week up there helping them out, met the owners, and told them that we were there to support them. Did some security operations up there with them. And then I came back home, spent a few days here back at the ranch, and then I went back up for about another 10 days. So just a little over 2 weeks of time I spent up there in Oregon helping those gentlemen out with their battle. Mm-hmm. And they were fighting BLM because they wanted their due process. And they kind of got themselves into a little pickle, if you ask me honestly.
BLM or the miners?
Well, both of them. BLM definitely screwed up because they poked the bear again, and that's what happened. But the miners might have gotten themselves into a pickle because of this. Okay, they didn't get due process, and that's what we were there to do, is to make sure that they were safe until something could occur. Well, now they've gotten a stay of execution from a judge that BLM cannot show up on that property until a proper judgment is rendered. Well, that's great. I mean, that really is truly good. But now we have to look at this side of the coin. This side of it is that they've got to go to court, to a federal court, mind you, and complain about a federal agency. So basically, it's a stacked deck. So now, if the ruling that the judge passes down doesn't favor the miners, then now they are actually breaking a law, and it can be enforced upon. Now, who's going to enforce it? BLM's not going to enforce it. It'll be another agency now. So it's kind of a pickle that they got themselves into. But I honestly pray, and I'm going to, just so your brother, hopefully he's listening, I'm a Mormon, by the way, and we believe in defending the Constitution through thick and thin, young man. But I'll tell you this much. I get on my knees and pray frequently, not often as I should, but I pray that at least one judge will help step up and say, you know what, this is a state matter. The state needs to tend to their own business. That's what I pray for. And there's a lot of people that throw this out too. The sovereign citizen thing. I've done interviews with Vice News. Vice News came out. I still haven't even seen that one. Apparently, I got pretty good reviews on that one. But they came out here and they were like, well, we want to talk to you about being a sovereign citizen. And I had to correct them. I'm like, look, I'm not a sovereign citizen. I believe in the government. It's what has founded this country and made it as great and as strong as it was. Now it's crumbling because of the lack of attention to the Constitution and obviously investments going south. But I'm going to get hot-headed. I got to take a deep breath. It's bullshit that we're letting our country crumble before our eyes. And we need to take it back. And I am for government, but in a limited capacity. As Cliven Bundy likes to say, they need to worry about foreign policy, what color to paint the post office walls, issues of that magnitude. But don't come in here to the sovereign state of Nevada, or where Anna's from in Utah, or any other state, because when we became a state, hence the reason we have a border, you no longer have sway or weight on us. Now, maybe if, let's say, hypothetically, Nevada and Utah are arguing about something, a strip of land or something, then okay, yeah, maybe the government can come in and mediate or help, orchestrate meetings and be civil and help be a buffer. But it's bullshit that the government thinks that they own these lands. They don't. We own them. We, the people, own these lands. The city and state, county, and that's the way it is, plain and simple.
A lot of people don't understand or don't realize that out of all the amendments, your First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Third Amendment, one of the most important of all isn't even free speech. It's the right to own property.
Yeah.
Because if you have the right to own property, then that's your property, and you now have the right to free speech or the Second Amendment rights or whatever on your property. So if you don't have property rights and somebody else owns that property, if the government owns all property because we don't have property rights, then they also control the First Amendment and the Second Amendment on their property, legally, technically. That's another reason why why the BLM and all these people are trying to seize more and more and more and more property.
Well, there's a couple different avenues to look at this at. Here's a prime example. When I went up to help the miners out up there, what BLM is saying is that you can own the land, but we own the resources. Really?
Right.
What the hell's a guy a miner for? He's not a miner for the land and no resources. He's a miner because he wants the resources. That's what these miners do. So to even go that avenue, I mean, you just shove your foot so far up your ass, you're going to need an archaeologist to dig it out, literally.
And they were trying to do that down in Texas, weren't they? Down by the Texas-Oklahoma border?
Down in Texas, the same thing. Same thing out here. Now, here's another issue. Now, I don't even like going into conspiracies or thoughts of this, but nonetheless, if you believe in Agenda 21, the depopulation of the exterior of the cities, they want everybody in the rural areas to be shut down and pushed into the cities where they can control you. And that has a lot to do with these land grabs. And possibly another avenue to consider is the resources. The southwest area is so rich in resources, it's absolutely astonishing. And we are so far in debt with China and anybody else that if we want to start getting ourselves clear out of these debts, we're either going to give them the land and the resources, or we're going to harvest the land and the resources, meaning the government, and then start paying off their ticket. Now, either way, that dog don't hunt because they're not entitled to the land. In China, if you're listening, you're smoking something other than crack because you're not going to come on my soil and get my land, plain and simple. I don't think the government has the right to do it, and if I don't think my own government has the right to do it, what the hell makes you think you're going to do it?
I find it very interesting. I find it interesting that you call Agenda 21 or refer to it as a conspiracy, which I know that a lot of people do. But just hear me out here. About 4 years ago, I heard about Agenda 21. Where did I go find it and read it, like from beginning to end, right on the whitehouse.gov? Like it was on their website. It's hidden right in the wide open. Yeah. It's not somewhere out there that someone created. Go to the government website and read it. They put those things that you're talking about on about page 4, 5, and 6. You're really bored by the time you get through page 1. So who's going to get to 4, 5, and 6? But nerds like me, So those things are stated in it. It's not a conspiracy.
It's not so much. It's not so much like maybe the wording I used wasn't appropriate. I don't believe that it's a conspiracy. But when a lot of people don't know about it, they hear it and then they think that. So maybe I was referring to myself or something. I don't know. Just like the whole Jade Helm thing. Just like the whole Jade Helm thing. That's written in plain stone, silver. But I still believe that a lot of people are jumping off the edge on this. Just like you said, though, Agenda 21. You can read the literature and understand it's there and it's what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. But some of these people from these alternative news sources that we were talking about earlier, they get wind of this stuff, and then they start running with it. Next thing you know, I got Chuck Norris, just like out here. This is a prime example, the Bundy Ranch, when we were getting false intel out here. I got people coming in here saying, oh, they're going to tactically insert a team in here to take you guys out. And I'm like, really? Okay, whatever. The drone strike, another prime example. Really? Right. Come on. I mean, aside from some of the things I heard, I'm surprised I didn't hear anything about John Kerry driving a swift boat up the Virgin River with Chuck Norris. Is running the gun on the bow and Godzilla being tactically inserted up in Mesquite to sneak in here and claim it as a natural disaster. I mean, I've heard it all. So conspiracies, though, I actually find them. I don't even like using the word conspiracy. Actually,
right.
These facts are actually interesting because you have to be a complete fucking moron to not at least find some validity in some of these things. Now, granted, maybe some of the stuff is a little far-fetched. We can all agree that, but some of it is not. So at some point you got to draw the line and say, okay, this can be potentially harmful.
All right,
and
so where do you come down on Jade Helm?
Where did he go? He froze.
He froze!
There he is. Well, maybe.
Here's what am I back? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. What I believe about Jade Helm is that, I don't know. I do know that I've seen a lot of military vehicles being transported, more than I ever have in all my life, traveling the freeways and driving around. It's evidently clear that they're moving a lot of hardware. This is me and me only. Okay, so let's clarify this. Do I think Jade Helm is something important? Yes, I do, because it's it's a military operation on a scale like no other. The whole Southwest states are being identified as which ones would be hostile, cooperative, not so cooperative.
But no,
That's
but
interesting.
important or nefarious?
Important because they kind of got some of their stuff mixed out, like when they put their map out about what states would be, potentially hostile or cooperative. They got Arizona as cooperative. That's bullshit. I'm from Arizona, and we got a lot of shooters out there, and we ain't having that shit. But nonetheless, it's just part of their comedy, like, okay, resistance pockets here in the southern area, California, Utah's a pocket of resistance. Either way, it doesn't matter. The fact that they're doing this, labeling it on as a map, giving you a blueprint of what they want to do. But what I'm afraid it is it's going to poke at the bear, and the bear being we the people. And what I pray and hope for is that some person, I'm not going to use bad language, that some person won't come out and just start randomly firing at helicopters and soldiers, because a lot of our men in uniform, there's a few that will take these orders of doing bad things, and there's a percentage of them that won't. And I can assure you the percentage of them that will not fire on U.S. citizens is a lot higher. But if we have some, I gotta say it, I don't want a fucking nutcake to go out there and start shooting soldiers and helicopters and police cars, because all we're gonna do is just get ourselves deeper in bed with the devil. So now they come knocking on the doors in a few years and start getting weapons.
Right, but you see that guy James, whatever he was, the Colorado shooter who went into the theater and killed like 15 or 20 people, right?
Yeah.
All it takes, and I hate to act like a conspiracy, but the same guy, it was the same person who killed Chris Kyle. Okay, that kind of person. All it takes is for the government. Here I go, conspiracy. All it takes is for the government to feed a couple of these whack jobs into going out there and doing the wrong thing on purpose, so that they can start a tragedy that needs to be fixed.
They're definitely provocateurs, obviously, but just all these mass shootings, I mean, well, let's look at it, okay, on one perspective. Look at them as a human being when they're in court. Now, if I don't know what somebody looks like after a mass shooting, but these guys are so dumbed up and medicated on stuff that it's absolutely astonishing. And I'm supposed to sit there and believe that this guy that has the IQ of an ant swimming in a puddle of piss can go out and grab all these guns and then go out and conduct these operations that he did alone. I don't know about that. Maybe he could. Weapons fired in the proper manner can do some damage. But, once again, conspiracy or not, you can actually look. The government did do and work on mind control situations. So, if you get a hold of somebody that's weak in the head and start pushing on them, eventually you can get something out of it.
Well, they try to say Timothy McVeigh blew up the Oklahoma building. Well, as soon as that happened, like within 5 minutes of it happening, all over the news, there was two people. There was a John Doe who was also seen with him, who was of Arab descent, blah, 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 like a Pakistani or whatever, and all of a sudden, gone. No more mention of him. No more mention of him, right?
It was like a freaking unicorn.
Well, I don't believe that Timothy McVeigh just did that on his own or by himself. Yeah. I don't believe that.
I'm not believing that one, but let's ask Anna. Anna, what do you believe about the McVeigh situation, hon? You're awfully quiet, so I'm going to push you in front of the bus.
I don't have anything to say about that. I don't have an educated enough of an answer.
But Anna,
but I will tell you this: you guys, every time you say conspiracy, you both just cringe, and it's interesting. Yeah, I guess there are people out there who are way overboard as far as conspiracy theories go, but realistically, conspiracy theories are just simply a recognition of things that have happened through history. I mean, these type of situations were done in Germany. I mean, there's always been people who have planted situations to create chaos. If you read in that book, they thought they were free. They talked about the government kept them so busy with problems in the world and within the country that they had no time to see what was really going on around them. So it's conspiracy is just based on what we know.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's a better way to say that you're acknowledging something, but you don't know enough about it. I guess that's where I'm at with it.
People want to lie.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of stuff that goes on out there that I'm not fully knowledgeable on, but I do have a little bit of knowledge. So,
Sure.
I don't even like the word conspiracy. I
You
consider it
can
just.
say, I wouldn't put it past them to do this.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I guess I re-educated myself due to Anna and re-educating Buddha.
I wouldn't put it past them to, yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well, the word conspiracy has just been made to have people look as if they are crazy and don't understand anything, and so that's why people cringe to hear the word.
Yeah, nobody wants to be viewed as a nut job.
Conspiracy is just a way several people put something into action together against others. I mean, technically.
I mean, the reason why people say, "Oh, he believes in black helicopters," and well, it's because there's fucking black helicopters. It really happened. That's why they say that. Now, maybe people go overboard, but
right.
A lot of this stuff is grounded in some truth.
So, there's a lot of stuff out there that we all need to start paying attention for. And one of the things I've talked to in a couple, I don't know, half dozen radio shows is whether you believe they're capable of, I think that's the new word we're using, whether they're capable of some of these things or not, I don't know, but you have to look at this. The world's going on a shit path, and it's not good. Between war fronts in Russia, Iraq, Afghanistan, cartels on the border, China claiming they want their money back, Russia and China teaming up, North Korea poking the bear, the government pushing on us as we the people. At what point don't you realize that something is going to boil over soon enough, and there's going to be a major loss of bloodshed, or life rather. Major bloodshed will be spilled. I don't want that. Hell no, I don't want that. But to think that nothing is going to happen, you gotta be one stupid son of a bitch, plain and simple.
Yeah,
something is going to burn. Yeah, something is going to boil over, and when it happens, I hope that everybody's prepared, and that's what my company, Nevada Tactical Solutions, now that I'm getting it started, is we're going to be focusing on this. And one of the things, like a lot of the tactical training companies, they charge an arm and a leg, and I'm not putting anything against them, but I believe every human being has the right to defend themselves and should have the knowledge. So I'm going to bring my prices down drastically just because I want every person out there to know how to defend themselves and their family, because when shit hits the fan, if you don't know how to take care of yourself, you're going to be a statistic.
So what would it cost for somebody to go out and get trained?
Well, it depends on their level of experience, honestly. If they have when they come out and see me, I'll evaluate them. And if they want to book a class and they come out, that's fine too. But if you book a class with me, let's say a combat fighting pistol class level 2, and you don't have class level 1 knowledge, I'm going to call you out on it. And I'll give you your money back, but I'll tell you, you need to re-enroll for a course just a little bit lower than what you're asking for. But a weekend with me is going to cost you $400, and that's going to be out here at the range I built out here. We'll provide you some water and ice and yada, yada, yada. If the temperatures, which we are in the hot season right now, today I think we hit 110. If you can't operate in the heat, then we can book you in the fall or winter classes. If you can't camp, we have some great hotels really close to town, 13 miles away. They're really affordable and reasonable. So with $400, you get me on a Saturday and a Sunday and one of my other instructors, and we'll teach you everything we can about basic pistol marksmanship, basic pistol safety. But when you kick it up a notch and want to learn combat fighting pistol, we're going to have you running around on the range and sweating like a hog. Because
Jesus, I just spent $200 for an hour to shoot my. Never mind. Sorry, I was thinking of something else. Just
Did
kidding.
You say shoot your wife?
My wad. Shoot my wad.
Oh my God.
$200 in 1 hour.
You should have came to Vegas.
Terrible.
Just kidding. All right. Have you ever seen Anna shoot?
I actually have seen some videos from Anna shooting a while back. Can't remember how long ago Anna it was, but it was probably a few months ago. And Anna's got some skills. She needs to polish them up a little bit, but
a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if somebody kicked in your door and tried to hurt you and your boys, do you know how to grab that weapon and point and shoot?
Yes.
Okay, so you know how to take care.
But I do not have enough steady
stuff.
training.
Well,
then
her shooting with the automatic weapons, the machine gun type stuff might not be perfect.
I
But
did
you
not
put,
like shooting an automatic weapon.
right, but you
Well, see,
you put a pistol in her hand or something, and she will split somebody's hair from down the street.
When I
Right.
have the time, here's the thing though. It's when if I have the time to like focus and breathe and all that, yeah, great. But in a stressful situation, it's entirely different, and that's what I need to learn.
And that's what I'm willing to offer, and all of my clients that come and take a class with me is stressful firing situations where you got to, here's a prime example. Just, do 20 or 30 jumping jacks, go run around a couple laps around a couple barrels, and maneuver, go from point A to point B, shooting at point A, shooting when you arrive at point B, shooting from behind concealment. These are all things that your blood pressure elevates on, and if you can train in that environment, when the hostile environment brings itself towards you, you're trained to deal with it. You know how to react under pressure because you've worked in that. You train for how you plan to fight. And that's one of the slogans I use here for my company. We provide, obviously it's kind of out there a little bit, but we provide unconventional training for an unconventional world, because warfare nowadays is extremely unconventional. It's just the way it is. And a lot of people need to learn how to defend themselves if they choose to live longer, because when shit hits the fan, you're gonna have people knocking on your door that you don't want necessarily there. That's why you need to think about maybe relocating to different areas, a bug out plan, if you want to call it that. If you think you can hunker.
Prepper?
I'm kind of into prepping to a degree. I mean, as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they encourage you to have a food stock.
Well, one of the smartest, so people will make fun of Mormons for whatever reason, because they'll make fun of Catholics, and they'll make fun of, I go to a evangelical church, what do you call non-denominational church. They go, oh, you freaking holy rollers, whatever, they're going to make fun of anybody. But I'm telling you, I don't need to tell you this, but the Mormon church and the people have their act freaking together and are smart and always have been when it comes to preparing and preparation. And they've been doing this crap for a long time. And people who aren't are going to get caught with their pants down in a really bad situation.
Well, that's where we need to help people. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're Mormon, it doesn't matter who you are. If you want to live when shit hits the fan, you got to have food, water, ammo, ways to purify water. I mean, there's a little list. It's not that big a deal. Well, you're paranoid. Okay, that's fine. When your family's knocking on my door dying for food, that's okay. I'll just remember that you said I was a paranoid nutcake. Of course I'm not going to turn you away, but the simplicity of the issue is you're going to make yourself look like a fool. Now, am I going to look like a fool if nothing ever happens and I've got all these weapons and food storage and all this? That's okay if shit hits the fan. I spent my money wisely, I believe, but if not, at least I got some cool-ass gear, and when I go camping, I got some good-ass food.
That's kind of like the quote-unquote the little Christian theory about believing in Jesus and dying and going to heaven and blah, blah, blah. But people go, you're a freaking nutcase. Well, guess what? If it's not true, then I've lost nothing. Mm-hmm. But if it is true, and you go off living like a freaking idiot, and you die, and it was true, you're in a lot of trouble for a long time, So what have you lost? I don't know.
Nothing. What I believe in, obviously I'm going to say his name just because it's part of this whole spiel that I've come up with, and I've actually been saying it for quite a few years. I went to college for religion and philosophy at Stanford University.
I saw that. You freaking went to Stanford. Is that true? For sure?
Yes, I went to Stanford.
Wait a minute. Let's stop for 1 second. 1 second. Stanford in Berkeley in California, right?
Palo Alto, California.
And you sat there and actually said the words to us, I'm not that smart. Well, dude, you can't go to Stanford without being frickin'. That's smart.
here's one of the things I can tell you. When you're smart and people know it, they have a tendency to always come to you. I don't want that. I like to be dumbed down and released from that obligation. But I went to school and I studied religion and philosophy, and I dropped out on my 4th year. I didn't get my degree because I realized I had a different calling in life. And what I wanted to do was be an instructor and teach people about religions. But one thing I've learned now, whether your God is Allah, Buddha, Jehoshaphat, Abraham, David, I mean, all aside, okay, I shouldn't have said Allah, but all basic religions, some of the major religions, they all stem around one simple fact: to just be a good, kind, loving person to the person next to you. I mean, when's the last time you went and talked to your neighbor about borrowing a cup of sugar or something like that? I mean, we're just not the way we used to be. And I don't care what religion you are, just be a good person. That's all I ask. I don't care if you go and get abortions. Do I think it's wrong? Yes, I do. But it's your choice. God gave you a life, and in that life came the choice of free agency. When Cain and Abel occurred, that gave each person free agency. What you do with your free agency is not for me to determine or persecute you against. You're going to have to meet the Maker and find that out on your own accord, not me. But just be a nice, kind, loving person.
Yeah. Anna, what do you think about all the conservatives, Republican Party, all of this is really pushing the hard bandwagon on quote unquote traditional marriage because it's God, all of that stuff. What do you think about it? You think the Republican Party should be making a big issue about traditional marriage?
Oh, that's a big question. I don't know. Help me out here, Buddha.
No, what do you think?
Give me some thoughts.
I can't answer for her. Maybe Anna will hear me and then she can chime in on it.
Okay.
Right.
I believe, honestly, that we need to push these values more. I've got some gay friends. They're awesome people. They're going to have to deal with the Lord and the Savior when they meet Him for what they do. I'm not going to hold it against them. I'm not going to say, you're a mean person or you're a bad person. It's not for me to judge you. It's not whatsoever. Now, I do believe that we need to start pushing more of our values that have made us human. I mean, when God created man and woman and gave us the planet Earth and brought our souls down here to live on Earth, He didn't say go and procreate with dudes or a bunch of chicks doing it. They needed man and woman to procreate. That's what we're here for. We're here to procreate and give life and bring a vessel for souls to come to and experience this realm of life that we have. And we're not getting it right now, And like I said, I've got gay friends, and if they're listening, I love you guys. You guys are great people. But you know what? Don't push your values on me, and I won't push my values on you, other than I will say you'll meet the Maker, and you'll have to answer to Him, not me.
Anna?
Mm-hmm. Well, there have to be certain values that are in place for a society to thrive. And let me ask either of you, have you heard at any point of any society throughout time that did thrive that had gay marriage and didn't have a structure, a type of familial structure that was in place?
Or are you trying to say something like Sodom and Gomorrah?
Well, here's a prime example.
It falls in there.
Here's a prime example. We all know about the Romans and how freaky they were. Well, this is off the beat. I was watching, it's new to me, but it's a show that was on Netflix. It's Spartacus, blood in the sand and in the arena. No wonder the Romans eventually ended up getting conquered is simply because they're too busy having orgies. But nonetheless, Anna brought up a great point. No great country has ever lasted. Maybe Rome fell because of the stupid shit that they did. Maybe the Lord punished him in certain ways, or maybe He didn't. I don't know. I'm not speaking for him, nor will I ever. But it's not right for a man to sleep with a man and a woman to sleep with a woman, in my opinion. But that's all it is.
The first chapter of Romans is pretty clear that it's not supposed to happen. But with that said, then Anna really lit into me here last week or two ago when I on Facebook when I made a comment about just a thought that if marriage is between a man and a woman and you want God, you care that God blesses your marriage, well then shouldn't you care that God blesses your marriage.
Go
Why
ahead.
do you care that the government does? Because, in other words, we're putting so much faith and fight. We're already wanting a smaller government, right? We're already wanting government out of our lives. So why do we want government to be involved in our marriage? I don't even care if they recognize my marriage. If my marriage is blessed of God, I do not care that there's a piece of paper legally signed by the government that says you're married, because it's only there really for tax purposes.
Ultimately, yes.
Before we ever had the United States of America, before we ever had anything, how did people get married? What caused them to be married? It was their recognition between family and friends and God that they were married. So why are we fighting so hard? So in other words, if two dudes get married or two chicks get married, hey, I don't believe God's going to bless that. But
Well, I
that's
think
not
what you
my it's not my I'm sorry if God's not going to bless your marriage. If you guys are happy and then you whatever, and then you die and you go on your own way to whatever happens afterwards, that's all on you. All I can do is love you as a person, because maybe, and I'm just going to say this, when Jesus was asked, what is the greatest commandment? Well, duh, to love God above all else. But something else was so vitally important that he added a second one when he was only asked one question. What's the most important? He said, love your neighbor. This, like what Buddha just said, love your neighbor like yourself. Well, maybe loving and accepting gays is our test.
I don't think so.
Can we do the one simple thing that he did say is important? Love people. All right, that's my take. So let me have it.
No, you can love people. I don't think that love thy neighbor meant that you should excuse any and all behavior of other people just to show that you love them. So in essence, what you're saying is that people shouldn't stand up for their religious beliefs, or else you're going to tell them they're not loving their neighbor. That sounds pretty
Say that part
interesting
again.
to me.
No. Say that part again.
You're basically saying that people shouldn't stand up for their religious beliefs, and there are a lot of religious people who do not believe that marriage between a man and a man or a woman and a woman should take place in a society, and that's their right to not agree with that and to stand against it. But you are basically telling them, if they do stand up against that, their religious beliefs, that you're labeling them as not loving their neighbor, and that's not correct.
Good point.
That's a good point.
And what
What
I had said to you before on Facebook was, because you have basically said the same thing, that religious people should back off, and I said, well, most Christians believe that the Constitution was created through the inspiration of God.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they're going to stand up for the Constitution and their religious beliefs, because God was the one who put this government into place for them to thrive within their religion. So it is
very true.
So.
In my opinion, she's very true. The Constitution is definitely a divinely inspired document. This new world, which would be the Americas, was given to us because, in my opinion, the wretched oldness of Babylon and all the evils and everything that occurred out in that area, God wanted to start fresh, in my opinion, and Lord and behold, he gave us the Americas, and we have a divinely inspired document that's led us into a great, beautiful, powerful country. And now, once again, back to constitutionally speaking, we're just getting it trampled on, and it seems like nobody cares. And that's okay, because, it's not okay, actually. It hurts deep down inside, I've lost friends because of this battle, and it bothers me. There's nights where I wake up screaming in cold sweat. I ain't got nobody there to ask me, you okay, you going to be all right? I do what I do because it's what God has led me to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be clear about something, I want to be really clear. Yeah?
If I die defending my Constitution, that's okay. I'm fine with it. My daughters are okay with it. They understand it. My parents are okay. Everybody who knows Buddha knows that if he dies defending the Constitution, he died doing what he loves and what he did love.
Mm-hmm. I want to be really, really clear about something. When I give my opinion, like I did a minute ago, and then Anna, when you give yours, my heart, not just my ears, but my heart is open to actually listening to your comeback, because I learn every single time I open my big fat mouth and say something that could be stupid. It might end up not being stupid, but
Well,
a lot of times it is, and I'm blessed when, like Amy, okay, she's not here tonight because she's out romping in the weeds with her. Matter of fact, Amy, her boyfriend is a ranger, Army Ranger, and he's doing a lot of work in Afghanistan and different things, even currently. And she doesn't see him very often, and so he's back right now, and they're with each other.
good for
But
them.
every time I say something like, okay, I've been really, really, really anti-police since my sister-in-law was shot in the back of the head by one of them 4 years ago, and then he killed three women, and then himself, and the police department and all these people have been protecting him for years, and they covered up all this stuff. I used to have the thought was, you know what, if somebody's a freaking criminal, just shoot them and get them the fuck out of here. You know, I'm so tired of these bastards. But then when it happens to your family, and then you realize, you start to have a different thought. But anyways, Amy gets a little upset when I have a segment on the show called Good Cop, Bad Cop. She's tired of it. She goes, I'm just so tired of this, of talking about bad cops, you know, because most of them are good. And I said, well, I think every single cop is bad, every one of them, because if you have most of them that are good, but there's bad ones, and they don't turn into bad ones, then they're just as bad. So every time I say something like that, Amy will fight back, and I love her so much for it because I learn. And then I realize, okay, I was wrong. And so when I say something like Anna fought back and says something, I learn, and I'm blessed by that. So thank you, Anna.
Well, that's what positive conversation can do. It can enlighten us all. I mean, my brother was murdered when I was 14 years old by a black man, and for the longest I had a problem with a lot of members within the black community. But it took one of my dearest friends who lost his life because of a weight issue. His name was, we called him BBK, Big Black Keith. But he says we're not all bad, and they're not. You know, one of my best friends that I actually told you about earlier that I could bring onto your show one time, he's black. It sometimes takes something bad, which could be maybe a murder of a family member, or like you said, and Anna corrected you, something bad can occur, or something good can occur out of something bad. I've got a tattoo with kanjis all down my leg that says, "In darkness and gloom, even flowers bloom then." So no matter how shitty things are, it could be a comment or just life in general, it can always get better. And Anna just showed you how you can possibly be better. And that's the beauty of great conversation and good people that are like-minded. We can all learn from each other. I've learned that Anna, you know, with her posts on Facebook and what she's dealing with her physical stuff, you know, she's a tough little cookie, you know. So I've learned that there's a lot of women out there that could role model after her in being tough. You know what I mean? We all got something to learn, and if we just open ourselves up to the possibility of learning something new, we can still learn stuff every day. Like today, I woke up today and I learned something new. Not to go out and work with Cliven when it's 115 degrees outside in the range, and you know you're busting your ass out there. I learned to take a hat, and I should have known better, but we took off kind of early, and I didn't have a ball cap with me, so.
That's funny. You're I don't know why, but your camera got stuck. So speaking of black, you've been black for a while.
Oh, so nobody. No, see, I brought up the race card, and now look.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Booda.
Yes.
It's really cool that you identify as black. Look at him.
Well, you
right
know,
there. He's black.
You know, I saw what happened to that young lady with the NAACP, so I figured if she can do it, I'm going to make her run for it.
You know, I just, honest to God, wonder if she doesn't suffer from multiple personalities, and those things don't have to come in and out of you for every 10 minutes. Shit, she could go that way for a couple of years to be multiple personalities, but something is wrong because she literally told stories in detail about how her dad was getting roughed up by the police down south, and he turned and bashed the police officer, and he literally jumped on the train, and he got out on, quote, the midnight train out of the south. And I'm like,
yeah, she had some issues going on there. She had some serious issues going on.
These are some, and the mental health issues in our country, it's pretty serious.
Well, they used to blame murderers and those bad guys because of the rock and roll music. Well, maybe the rap music flipped her.
Yeah, right, huh? Unbelievable. Anyways, well, I think all of the topics that I had for tonight, our conversation was so much better that I sat there and thought as we were talking, maybe I'll throw this one up, maybe I'll bring that one up. Nothing could have equaled what we did tonight. So I had a great time. I really appreciate you jumping on with us.
Hey, it was a pleasure to join you guys. It was a pleasure to join you guys. If you guys ever want to chat again, coincidentally tonight I wasn't busy, but just give me a little bit of notice and I can actually accommodate you guys. You guys are good people, and I think very highly of you. And I look forward to talking with you guys. But I do gotta let you go. So you and Anna can finish up because I've got a calling and it has to do with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Every night before I go to bed, I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's my tradition.
Hey, now wait a minute. Honest to God, do you dip it in milk?
No. I don't dip my peanut butter and jelly in.
Dude,
no, I'm heavy on the peanut butter.
Try it.
No, it's too soggy. I don't even like soggy bread. I can't do it. I'm not. You know what? Because we're all talking about learning something new, I'll try it. I'll try it, but I'm not going to like it. The only thing I dunk in my milk is cookies.
Not soaking it. You get to dip it in quick, pull it out, and I haven't had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in maybe a year.
Dip it in quick and pull it out, right?
Yeah.
Last time I did that, she was pregnant. and I have two beautiful daughters. There you go. All right, guys. All right. You guys have a blessed evening, and remember, we all got a fight to do. And if everybody does their part, we can make headway.
Yeah, and we'll talk soon because I like I told you earlier, I've got that little show that I'm thinking about, Guy Talk.
That let me know about that.
About later. All right.
Yes, of course. Okay, Jim. You guys have a great night. Anna, you have a great night. And
you too.
And remember, God loves us all if we choose to listen. Goodbye.
Right on. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye. Anna, thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was very good. I'm glad that he came on.
Yeah, that was awesome. He, God, you come up with some good. All right, you're batting 1,000. Do you know that this is 3 for 3? Didn't you get us? Derek
Grayson was the first.
You got us Derek Grayson, and then Chris Peranto. Now, okay, so here's what I wanted. Here's what I'm thinking.
Are we on air?
Got this whole thing lined up called Guy Talk, because there is the show called The View, The Talk. On Fox News, there's The Five, and all of these things they're talking about social issues, they're talking about politics, talking about whatever, but you see the breakdown of what's going on in the country, and God, first of all, God bless single mothers. There is no harder job in America than a single mom for way too many reasons to list. It's just everything else goes below that. But also there's, I think, a need for good, strong role models, right. male role models, okay? And I've wanted to do a show where there's 2 black guys and 2 white guys that basically kind of have more of a Christian philosophy of dealing with things. and it would be a talk show like we're doing, but just 4 guys, and with all of us with these different ethnic and different backgrounds and stuff. But people could call in, or we would talk about the current topics of the day and what kind of advice would us as a man give to somebody who might be able to help a child, a youth, maybe a parent who's struggling with their child,
Right.
or whatever. I don't know. I just really believe that the youth of America. I know that a lot of people think that they're lost. I don't think so. I think they're more than salvageable, and I think that they're going to surprise people more than people expect, because I think that they're kind of watching the mistakes that we and maybe our parents have made, and they're kind of watching the great grandparents, the great generation, what do you call the greatest generation?
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're paying attention more than we give them credit for, and I just think maybe it would help to have some role model leadership. And I got to be honest with you, I probably never would have time, but you never know. I wanted to ask Chris Peranto what if he would be interested in doing it once a week on a Sunday. I want to get 4 guys on a Sunday night. Here's a guy with military background. He's got kids. He's a Christian. All of this stuff, that the advice that somebody could give to the youth, not talking politics, not talking military, but just talking from the heart about what a father, a man, would give somebody advice for. I don't know. I think it's needed. I think it could blow up and be huge.
I think that sounds like a great idea. Absolutely.
So, I reached out to a couple of people, and so far, like I wanted Wayne Dupree to talk to him about it, and this other guy, and they just they're all so busy, whatever.
Right.
They don't even respond. They got too much crap going on. So I finally, I'm not really a good prayer, but I prayed a little bit. The way I pray is I talk to God, and not even that much. But I'm like, I've been trying. So you just find me the right people. You find me the right persons, and put this thing together if you want it to be put together.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Anyways, cool. Do you want to see a couple of before we go? Do you want to see a couple of the like the openings to each little segment that I did?
Sure.
All right. So we won't do segments, but if we did segments, here's how I start out. Let me move this up. Here's how I start out. Good cop, bad cop. I love this. All right. So here goes. Good cop, bad cop.
130 showing Bush. I got him at gunpoint. Okay, got 130 showing Bush. Covers code 3. Phoenix 25, 14, 10, transmit on tag 2. Okay, we'll still try to code
3. And then we'd say, okay, so then we're gonna go into our first segment, blah blah blah. Like this one was gonna be this idiot CNN person who said it was very courageous and brave. Did you see that?
I did, yes.
What a freaking unbelievable.
Right.
Okay, and so then we move into breaking headlines. I just did this. This sounds horrible because I put on the echo. I'm like, so I've got to change my voice on it. But here's how it starts out with breaking headlines. Okay, let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are tens and tens of fans around the world. Put on your seatbelts. Could be a bumpy ride. This last gets ready for headline news. And when we do that, you never know where it could go. So again, put on your seatbelts and get ready for a bumpy ride. We are about to do headline news.
I got the plane going. So see, I'm playing around with stuff. I'm having fun.
I think just lose the plain section and go with the last section.
That's what I had, and then I see sometimes I try to like go more is better. No.
And it's not.
No. So I added that just the other day. All right. Good point. Good point.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to lose that.
And then you're going to put on the headline of be sure not to paint rattlesnakes.
Why?
So.
What happened?
Oh, so that was one of the headline news stories here in Utah the other day. Someone found a spray painted pink rattlesnake, and so the headline across the news was "Don't spray paint rattlesnakes."
Jeez. Hold on, Anna, 1 second. Yeah.
Okay. Just wondering if you...
Yeah, 5 minutes. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So
well,
just remember, don't do that.
So then what I was going to do is just like cut and copy the headlines from, let's say, Monday, and then part of that, say I thought it was a mental health issue. Wednesday, if we want to cover any of that, that's fine. Okay, and then so let's say that somebody worked in an office. You got a water cooler. Well, let's meet at the water cooler and talk. So here's the water cooler conversations. Just.
Hello, John. Hey, Jim. My name is Jay. Hey, Jimmy. Ah!
Water cooler conversations. Water cooler conversations.
And then it would just like jump into, is this 666 or paranoia? And then, because this is a video where this girl was getting an implant put in her hand. And then this story here was on Bristol Palin. I thought she was right on target. Did you see this story?
Mm-mm.
She was so right on. She calls out Bristol Palin unleashed against Miley Cyrus Friday, penning a scathing blog targeting the pop star for comments she made in a recent interview. Cyrus said in a recent interview, where she also posed nude, that she is the least judgmental person ever, but then proceeded to slam conservative lawmakers and Christians for their effing insane beliefs. So Bristol says, Cyrus says, we've outgrown the fairy tale like we've outgrown effing Santa and the Tooth Fairy. Cyrus said, referring to individuals who believe in Noah's Ark and all that. So Palin, she jumps on Twitter and she says, while her nude photo shoot has attracted the attention of many, it's hilarious. It's her hilarious tirade about tolerance that turned my head. Is it me, or does it just seem like more than a little fake that someone claiming to be accepting of everyone and everything would spew such judgment toward her own parents and their deeply held religious beliefs? Palin asked. The daughter of the former Republican VP candidate, hammering Silas for her comments. She wants everyone else to let her be free to be Miley, but seems unwilling to offer the same respect to her parents or those who wish to live out their Christian faith. Oh, Miley, Palin said, thanks for giving us the best example of what tolerance looks like in Hollywood. It looks a lot like contempt.
Ooh.
I thought that was pretty ballsy. Yeah. So, anyways, and then the last segment that I've got, we call it the lighter side. So I added this. Watch.
Oh my goodness.
Good Hillary.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I'll go on to different stories like lighter side, like who was there. Do you know who the inspiration for the Lone Ranger was?
Mm-mm.
Talk about I identify as black, or blacks as whites, or we want to have different things. The inspiration for the Lone Ranger was actually a black man.
Oh, interesting.
Yep, the toughest cowboy to ever live was a black man named Bass Reeves. He captured over 3,000 criminals. He's the man Hollywood patterned the Lone Ranger story after. He's a former slave. He grew up. He ran away. He got free when he was about 9 years old or something and ran, and some Indians took him in. He ended up marrying an Indian. He lived on with the Indians, and then he became a sheriff, and he worked in the Indian territory and rode with an Indian. And he was like relentless. When somebody needs, matter of fact, he actually was put up on trial as a sheriff for murder because I forget exactly what happened, but he went through the trial and he was found not guilty. And then he continued to be a sheriff. Yeah. And then in like 1910 or 1915, something like that, then whenever the Jim Crow laws and all that stuff started to happen, he would then go into restaurants, and all of a sudden, you know, he's retired by then, and all of a sudden he's like, you can't sit here. You're not welcome here. You got to leave. So here's a guy that gave his life to doing the right thing. Then it ended up having all that crap turned back on him. But why couldn't the Lone Ranger have been, the character, have been black on TV?
Right.
Would things have been a little, you know, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so that's the whole gist of...
interesting story. I'll have to look more up about that.
Yeah, Bass Reeves, look him up.
Fascinating.
So, all right, well, I'm going to, let me close out that portion of... I'm going to have that little guy leave the show, and I'm going to close that up. Anyways, Anna, thank you so freaking much.
You're welcome. I didn't do much. I listened and I learned a lot.
You listened, but you offered a lot and gave a lot and spoke volumes when you did, because I learned all the time from you guys.
Same.
I mean, between you and Amy, I just I learned a lot. So
well, thank you. Likewise.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
We're gonna stay with me for a second. I'm gonna stop the broadcast. Goodbye, everybody who was watching. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Okay. Goodbye.